Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video tutorial. This will be board number 24. Again, this is from Dubious positions and how to attack them, and this is part of the trilogy. So without further ado, let us begin this board. Central cannon. In this board, red will choose to play p3 plus 1 earlier. This is also accepted and orthodox variation. Red will play h8 plus 9 without advancing any pawn. Red will go for h2 plus 3 for the screen horse defense. And red will continue with c8 equals to 7 to take aim at the horse in this move. Now, all these are considered to be orthodox moves. Other than c8 equals to 7, p3 plus 1 or r2 plus 4 are all viable options. h3 plus 2 to prevent the chariot from developing is okay. Red would attack with r2 plus 6, or black would apply a blockade. e3 plus 5 for prophylactic defense. r9 plus 1 to develop the chariot. a4 plus 5, r9 equals to 6. Now, in this board, this would be the dubious move. Now, with h2 plus 1, black would indeed gain an edge pawn, but the downside is that this horse would now have penetrated into deep red's camp alone without any backup at the moment, and the horse is not as agile as the chariot. The sound move at this point would be to play r1 equals to 2 or even r1 equals to 4 for a trade of chariots. Now this will be this dubious position, and seeing that the black horse had penetrated alone, red will continue, adjust his attack and play r6 equals to 8. Now this would be the position of discussion for this board. There are two main variations. The first would be c2 equals to 4 to defend, and the other would be c2 equals to 1. Now before we continue, would accepting the trade of cannons be a good idea? The answer would be no, because this horse had not moved, so the black horse cannot capture the central pawn. Both the black horses are now unprotected. r2 equals to 3 will spell a lot of trouble for black, and red will now be prepared to retreat his chariot to capture the horse. So that is why black would in all sorts of trouble, and this will exemplify why penetrating the enemy's territory alone is a very dangerous thing. So let us go to variation A, whereby black will try to defend with c2 equals to 4. Obviously, this is a defensive measure, and red will immediately start to attack with r8 plus 2. This is a continuation of the previous move. Now black would protect his horse indirectly with this move. It would not be a good idea for black to try something funny with c4 plus 4, flattening the chariot in this manner. Red will play p3 plus 1 to prevent capture, and p5 plus 1 to attack. But even so, black would lose material, and losing material at this point in time would spell a lot of trouble for black. And also, in this situation, red's chariot would have pinned 3 major pieces, and black would have trouble trying to initiate an attack with a lone cannon over here. So it is obvious that red would have a significant advantage. So the best way to protect this horse would be to play p1 plus 1. And red would be fearless and accept black's horse. Now this black's horse will be a pseudo sacrifice, but this is the best, concise and powerful move for red. Now, if he chose to play, let's say, h9 plus h9 minus 8 or h9 minus 7, black will counter with p1 plus 1. Okay, so for example, this situation would become very, very complicated, and black would have tactical opportunities in the ensuing game. And red would have a hard time trying to control the entire situation. So h9, r9 equals to 8 is simple. Black will now gain back lost material. But in doing so, black would have used up 1, 2, 3, 4 moves just to push the pawn across the river, and he'd still be vulnerable to capture. But at this time, red would not be in a hurry to capture eliminate the pawn because he would have this file guarded. So p3 plus 1 is played. Although black cleverly gained back lost material, but if we were to go back a few moves, we can see that in this situation, black had used up 1, 2, 3 moves to maneuver this black horse over here, whereas red had only used one move to move the horse over here. So after trading material, this would imply a loss of tempo for black, even though red had moved his chariot a few times. So after trading material, red would have gained some tempi. Now, at this point in time, it would be red should not play c5 equals to 9 because it would be more important to try to control the situation with p3 plus 1 so that black's horse would have trouble developing and this congested flank would still remain very congested. So r1 plus 5, black tries to put up a fight. If he played p1 plus 1, this pawn would not be able to constitute any threat. And red on the other hand will be prepared to charge the horse to the riverbank. With r1 plus 5, this move is not feasible anymore. And at this point in time, now would be the correct time to play c5 equals to 9, so that if black played captured the pawn, red will solidify his defense, and suddenly 3 major pieces will be attacking this empty flank. So black will try to simplify the situation and ease some pressure. If he hastily played r1 equals to 7, red will now go for attack. Check. Now black would not dare to capture the cannon because red will play r2 equals to 6, preparing to checkmate. So a6 plus 5, threatening to gain material, and red would rapidly orchestrate a series of attacks to threaten the checkmate. R2 equals to 3, accepting a red trade of chariots. Red consolidates his defense. As can be seen, his pieces are in the open. And red will now play c7 minus 1. One possible option would be to play c7 equals to 9 and storm this flank by force. As the game goes on, it is fairly obvious that red would have the better prospects. So this would be variation A. Now in variation B, c2 equals to 1 is discussed, whereby black would protect the horse in this manner. Again, red would target the horse, otherwise the cannon, moving the cannon would not be a good idea. Black would play p1 plus 1 to consolidate this line. p7 plus 1 is not viable because the threat over here cannot be ignored. Red would simply capture, and as can be seen, red would have gained open access to this pawn rank and be prepared to gain material. So black will also have a hard time trying to defend. And there's also the option of going back r5 equals to 2 to pin the cannon and capture the horse. So black will still be in all sorts of trouble. p1 plus 1 is advised. and red would take the opportunity to play p3 plus 1, h3 plus 4. So the horse is now ready to go. R1, c1 equals to 4, c to defend. Now, if let's say black tried to gain some momentum or put up a fight with r1 equals to 4, red will attack in this manner. Black cannot play r4 plus 5 because red will simply play h4 plus 5, take the central pawn, threaten the black chariot and the horse at the same time. If material were traded, red would now have, let's say, if black continued with, after trading the horses, red would now threaten to checkmate. So again, red will be in all sorts of trouble. So c7, after c7 minus 1, the best move would be to try to trade chariots. Now this is also in preparation. If c7 plus 1, one of the possible options that red would have would be to play c7 equals to 2 to gain material. So c8 equals to 9 will deal with this issue also. But after trading material, red will now be attacking the central file. Again, there's always a threat of a checkmate, so the black chariot cannot move, and black would have a special advantage. As can be seen, black's pieces are now congested and have trouble developing. So after c1 equals to 4, red again retreats the cannon. He cannot be in a hurry. He must retreat the cannon, otherwise let's say if he made another move, black would be prepared to play p1 equals to 2 and lose the cannon. So that is why retreating the cannon is important. And in doing so, red would have many options to attack. R1 plus 3 and h4 plus 6. It follows that red will be able to continue to attack with h6 plus 4, h6 plus 7, c7 equals to 9, etc. etc. Black would be in all sorts of trouble, and it would appear that losing material would be inevitable. So, let us review this game from the eyes of black. Okay. Central cannon. Black plays p3 plus 1, which is okay. Edge horse without pushing the pawn. Very important. Red did not push the pawn over here. Screenhouse defense. 5-7 cannons. Black refuses to allow red to develop the chariot, and red will apply pressure. Defense. Rank chariot. More defense. R9 equals to 6 to try to command the red file. And this will be the dubious move in this video. Now, seeing the horse penetrated alone, instead of moving the cannon away, red offered a trade of material. c2 equals to 4, variation A, and c2 equals to 1, variation B. Now, it was a bad idea to accept the trade because after trading material, the horse will still have nowhere to go. So, c2 equals to 4, variation A. Red continues his attack on the black horse. p1 plus 1 is much better than c4 plus 4 because even though red would gain an elephant, he will not be able to orchestrate any threatening attack, whereas red will now command an absolute spatial advantage. No nonsense move. Black gains back lost material at the expense of losing tempo. R1 plus 5 to deny red's h3 plus 4. And now red will capture the edge pawn, prepare to storm this flank. Black tries to alleviate some pressure. After trading material, red will retreat the cannon and be prepared to attack. Even though both colors had similar material strength, position-wise, red is much more superior. Variation B, C2 equals to 1. The horse protecting. Now, it would be a bad idea to play R1 equals to 4 because, again, red would command a significant advantage. Again, C7 plus 1 in anticipation of P1 equals to 2. And red would have many tactical options available. Black would be all sorts of trouble. The main reason for Black's demise in this board would be because he played H2 plus 1 without any major backup. So we could see that in the following variation, Black had to use up several moves just to protect the horse. And this resulted in, although no material was lost, this would result in a significant loss in tempi. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video. If you like the work that I've been doing, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.